Welcome to Contreras Music. My name is Christian, and this is your tutorial on musical texture. So, what is texture? Well, the official definition reads, texture results from the way that voices and/or instruments are combined in music, and is essentially concerned with the layers of sound and their function. But really, what does texture mean? I want you to think hamburgers. That's right, hamburgers. This is all the texture boils down to. You see, when you have a big juicy hamburger, well, it's quite thick. There's a lot of layers. And something like a Happy Meal is quite thin, tiny little burger, hence thick and thin texture. But how does it relate? Well, think about this. If I blindfolded you and then put you to a challenge and said you have to take a bite out of your favorite burger, do you think you'd notice if there was, let's say, only cheese and bread, no meat? Or what about if the burger had like 10 teaspoons of tomato sauce, 10 teaspoons of mayo, and about half a kilo of raw onions? Now, what if there was meat? Would you taste the difference between a 350-gram sirloin steak or a piece of dry tofu? Essentially, in music, texture is this burger, and guess what? Your ears are going to do the tasting for you. So, let's get down to it. First thing you need to remember is that in music, there are layers, just like in your basic hamburger. Each layer is stacked up in a specific order and also in a specific quantity to achieve balance in taste. Hence, in music, it's the same thing. Same principle applies. So to first assess it, listen to a piece of music and think, is it thick or thin? For example, thin texture might be something like your general pop band or your general jazz band, which just has 3 instruments, like drums, or, for example, your bass, or could even be your vocals. All right? All together, they create a layer, but generally speaking, it's thin texture. Now, you could solo your bass, or you could try, for example, soloing the drums, or maybe the vocal as a solo. At any point, either they're playing together or in solo, you've got to talk about the texture. Now, what about this one? A full-blown symphony orchestra playing in unison, with percussion deep in the bottom register. Maybe some brass and some strings, maybe adding some cellos, violins, and all the way at the top, your woodwinds. This would really constitute thick texture because there's a whole bunch of layers in it. Make sense? So, now let's get into the meat. This is generally the lead, hence vocals do most of the work in pop or rock songs. But you need to think about what they're doing. Then you need to look at the support or the bumps. They're kind of what holds the whole thing together. In music, generally this is your rhythm section, which is drums, guitar, bass, and then piano, depending on your ensemble. Always remember to listen out for the differences in this. And of course, silence, the thinnest texture of all. So let's recap again. First thing you listen to is thick or thin texture. The next thing are the fillings. What goes into it? You need to really have this clear in your mind. The third thing is the order. Which goes first, second, third, and why? The next thing you're going to have to remember is the purpose. Okay? Why is each instrument playing? What's it doing? And finally, the change. Do they ever switch roles? Do they ever change? Why? These are your 5 main points. If you keep this in mind, the next time you have to talk about texture, it's as easy as eating your favorite hamburger. Well, hope you enjoyed this. If you guys learned anything from this video, please don't forget to share it. Visit our Facebook page, hit like, subscribe to get more useful tutorials in the future. And guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.